right, let me get the mic in here. Sorry about that. What is up, everybody? I am super pumped to come to you today to talk about the past year. So the reason why you're here probably, and there's 4 of you here, hey, what's up, is to figure out, hey, how can I get better at passing the PMP? How can I learn? How can I use the skills that we've developed over the past year and past to help you pass the PMP? So that's what you should be here for right now. The things I'm going to talk about today are going to help you pass the PMP exam. All right. So how you look at it, how you think about it, that's what we're going to nail down today. So if you're out there in TV land, writing out there, write when your exam day is, when you need to get done, and we'll help you. I'll talk through it. So the reason why a lot of you guys clicked on this button or going through here is because over the past year, let me just put the results up and I'll talk to you about it. We're going to share. We're going to hit this up here, right here. Boom. Over the last year, the PMP Accelerator and my company and my team, we've gotten 496 students successfully through the PMP exam in the last year. And I want to talk to you about the pass rate. And then, like, I've been thinking a ton myself, the coaches, about what actually made it a reality, what made it happen. So let's just go look at the real numbers, because, like, you might be like, Scott, whatever, dude. So, like, in the last past year, the real result last year, the real results, let me look at them, 496. And that may be great. Oh man, Scott, you had 496. How many people took it? Well, we had 18 fail. So we had over 500. We have 514 people take it. 18 failed. That's the way it goes. We're continuing to work with them. So that gives us an overall rate of 96.5%. Those are real numbers. No lie, straight up facts right there in scribbled English. Like, that's the results. That's what we're dealing with. If you think about 12 months, that's a ton of people, dude. We're super proud of it. So we got people taking the test today. Brittany, you know you're out there. You might be watching in. I know you got this. You're going to do it. You're going to be 497 or 498, depending on who gets there first. So in the last year, we've had a 96.5% pass rate. That's awesome. Now, on the new exam, and that's what you should care about, right? New exam. Let's go through that. Let's see what these results are. New exam. Anybody want to guess what the new results are? We've had 119 people pass and 2 fail. Now, there's reasons. We're working through it. We're still on board. We're going to get those 2 passed. So 119 passes, 2 failures, and it is a 98.35% pass rate. So this is not just bragging or whatever. Obviously, this is lower than everybody else's 99%. They're lying, by the way. This is real. 119 for 121, and we ain't stopping, okay? Success and perfection is the only thing we care about, all right? Getting you there. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I want to put a little bit of gravity behind it. Emphasis on the word gravity, all right? Because the skills and the processes and the methods that got us to do this and that will continue to get us better and better and better is what you need to focus on, all right? You need to focus on that, all right? So 98.35 is where we are right now, and we are not going down, all right? We are not going down. Now, as I clear the screen, there's a big thing that, like, I've been thinking about, like, well, how do I explain this to you? How do I work this out? How do I break it down to you so that you can have something that you can use to really get better, all right? And so I was thinking through a metaphor. Let me just go back to my big old face. And so I got to go back over to this screen right now. So, like, it's summer. A lot of times, I don't know when the rocket ships go off, but it's almost July 4th in the States, you know, get patriotic, all that stuff. But a lot of times, some of the biggest achievements, if we think about it in the United States, was like putting a man on the moon, multiple men on the moon. Like, that was a big deal back in the late 60s. Like, John F. Kennedy said, we're going to do things, like amazing things, not because they're easy, but because they're hard. We're going to put a dude on the moon. So for a lot of you out there, getting your PMP is like the moonshot. It's hard as heck. You don't know if you can do it. You can go, if it's going to be the thing that you can actually achieve, but there is a way. If we follow, a methodology, we bring our heads together, we get a brain trust together, and we do it. So the metaphor that popped in my head was like, dude, launching a rocket, getting it into space, getting people on the moon. So that's what I want you to think about. All right. And so the core components that really, really matter to students, that really get them through, that help them succeed, we can put this in the rocket metaphor. All right. So as I bounce back to the screen, what we need to do here, the first thing before I get into it is we need to talk about the things that do not work. Okay. What don't work? Like these are not the things that will get you to your PMP. I said that in really bad. Don't work. These are the things that if you're doing them now, stop it, please. All right. And I know these might violate a lot of people's rules and stuff out there in the PMP community. Come on, let's debate them, brother. Like they don't work. You know it and I know it. The first thing is memorizing. Do not memorize anything. I'm talking nothing. All right. None of our students, none of the successful people, if you want to be good, you cannot memorize. You've got to own these things. You don't walk into a meeting and go, yo, I'm going to pull out my big long notebook and I'm going to check every single thing. You don't do that. So why would you achieve like PMP greatness and pass the test through a thing that you don't do every day? You don't memorize. Don't start now. It sucks the life out of you. It's bad. So do not do that. That is like one of those things that's a cardinal sin. Don't memorize. Number two, they might go, well, I'm going to take thousands and thousands of questions. That might be how you think you get through there. People that are watching or later, that is not the way to get there. Thousands plus thousands equal a brain hurt, right? You just get confused because here's the thing. Think about that rocket, right? Let's just say the rocket's right here on the ground and we got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 getting ready to do like launch. What if you're a little bit off in an angle? Like a little bit off. You're supposed to go straight up. You go a little bit off. What's going to happen in your ability to get to that nice old moon? A little teeny bit. I'm talking a fraction of a degree off. You start out and you go jet blast, jet blast, jet blast. You think you're on this line, but in reality, boo, 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 you're over here. You're in the cold. You're alone and you're dead. You're not on the moon. You're not home. And all it was a little degree off. A little degree off there. 1 degree off. So why am I telling you that? Is because like if you're taking thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of questions and you're a little bit off in how you solve, if you don't have the logic right in your head, if you're going through and you're not, you're getting to that 50-50 and you're more often than not choosing the wrong one, taking more questions is going to do what? Taking more questions is just going to go, I think I'm going up on the happy path, and I think that taking more questions is going to get me there. But in reality, you know the path that you're on, and it's not a good path. You're going to get more and more wrong because you're not able to use the foundational knowledge to get them right. So taking more questions does nothing but make you frustrated. It steals from you the opportunity to learn, and it puts you off in a place where you're months down the road and you're not any closer to passing. So we've got to get this angle right at the beginning, meaning that we've got to nail down how we take questions, not the volume of them. So please do not take thousands of questions. Now, the other thing is what we don't want to do is rely on the magic. I say that in quotes because I don't believe it at all. Magic of boot camps. Now think about the word boot camp. Where does it come from? It comes from like the military, right? And what do they do with boot camp? Boot camps, are they there to create sustainable long-term learning, to create like a situation where you feel enriched afterwards? No, boot camps are to break you down, Jack. They are to get you there, crack you, and then just say, okay, now you can learn, right? Now you can get into our system. Now that might be okay for the military because the military sticks with you till they're done. And they build you up in the system, and they're thinking years in advance or in their length of time. Is that what regular boot camps do? No. What do? They tell you that everything's going to be fine and they turn your brain off. They say, just show up. Just show up. Because a lot of these things are saying like, hey, just go there. You can't even put your name or face in the boot camp when you're online. What they tell you to do is, oh, you're going to be fine after 5 weeks of just going to class, or 5 days or 4 days or weekends, right? That's what they tell you. But in reality, what do you get out of this? You get nothing, because they've stolen from you not only your money, but they've stolen from you your ability to think, because they're just pounding you with facts with no relation. So if you think that this boot camp is going to save your life, you're in deep trouble. So do not memorize. Do not take thousands of questions. Do not rely on the magic of boot camps. It's a huckster game. They're tricking you. All right? It doesn't work. That's what doesn't work. Let's talk about what does work. Your brain, thinking through things. Think about how people learn. Just think about, we're all adults most likely here. How do we learn? Is it slamming facts in our head? Is it memorizing stuff? Is it going up to the board and writing our name 1,000 times? No. We're adults. We learn. You learn by experience, by understanding, through perspective. That is how you learn. Through story, through relationship, through things that make sense. That's it. And so the key component in your success is you. Now, you got to have a guide or someone like me or whatever that can frame it up. And I'm going to do it here with another analogy. But the key thing is, instead of giving away your mind and saying, I'm going to go to someone else and they're just going to drop a bunch of things in my brain. No. You must bring yourself to it and say, I'm going to be an active participant in this. And I'm going to demand that they teach me in a way that I can learn. Right? That's it. All right. And so this isn't the speech I hope to give. It's not a speech, but it's what we got today. So what we realized in getting almost 500 people through in 1 year with a super duper high pass rate is that there are some core functionalities, the core functions that must be there, some core learning, a structure. It's a process. How you learn is a process. So see if this resonates with you. The number one thing that we've got to do is we've got to get a really strong base. We're going to call that the foundation. All right. So we've got a really strong foundation. Now, in order for this foundation to be strong and something that we can build on, it can't be complicated. It can't be overwhelming. It's got to be bedrock solid. It's got to be fundamentally sound. So we've got to take all these confusing concepts and we got to go, what does it mean to us? What does waterfall in one direction, what does that mean? Why does it exist? What does agile mean? Why does it exist? Why was it developed? If we understand that and we walk ourselves, not at super depth, but we get a good understanding through the entire story of waterfall beginning to end, the entire story of agile from beginning to end, then we've built a foundation that we understand why. Think about root cause analysis and all these other things. To really solve a problem, what do you have to do? You got to go back to why. So all these courses that start running like a racehorse, throwing things at you, it's a waste. If you don't understand why, nothing will take. Nothing will take effect. And for a lot of you out there that are here for bigger reasons than just to get your PMP, who want to learn, who want to sharpen your saw, want to be better at your job, want to be more respected, do all these things, why is what matters. So that's where we're starting with this, building this foundation. Okay? And so while we do that, we build this foundation, what we want to do is we want to understand where we're going. And we want to apply the lessons that we're having on the exam, what we're trying to accomplish. We want those to be what drives us. What I'm trying to say is that we want to take questions from the beginning with purpose and with, an actual result in mind. Okay. So as I erase this, what we want to do is we want to layer on to that foundation what is really, really important. And we talked about, as adult learners, what makes things come home for us, seeing it, relating to it, talking through it, etc. So what we want to do now is we want to build a rocket ship that we can go into. All right. Now, this rocket ship is our ability to solve questions. All right. That is our ability. Now, the fuel for this rocket ship, as we get the little thing down here, this is not to scale. Like, the fuel for it, as we go through here, that will propel us up, is our question solving ability, our problem solving ability. And this is even more than just taking questions and getting them right. No, it's how we diagnose the problem. It's how we identify where we are in a question. It's how we control ourselves to not go left when we should go right and focus on the wrong thing. All these things matter. So we have to build on our foundation and challenge our foundation through problem solving. So if you're going through this, do not just read books and watch videos and then wait till the end to take questions, or take questions and be like, I did bad, whatever. No, stop. Squeeze the goodness out of the questions. Understand the process of problem solving, and that's what's going to propel us up. Now, that alone is not enough. Having a good foundation, essential. Having a problem-solving ability, super duper double important. We've got to have that skill built into us. This fire underneath this rocket, it's got to be strong. It's got to be hot. It's got to be directed, or that rocket ain't going anywhere. But what do we need to make sure that we make it to the moon and we do well? So the key things, the number one thing we need is we need a foundation, a strong one. That's logical, that's relatable, that you go, aha, right? Number two is we need just laser sharp, diamond sharp, whatever's real sharp, problem-solving ability. That's what we need, problem-solving ability. All right? And that's more than watching people. That's you getting your hands dirty and understanding the problems. All right? Problem-solving ability. And now the third thing that's super duper, this is the most important thing as we go in here. We need a fuel tank. Now, I think the fuel tank's usually on the outside, right? So let's just draw. This is our fuel tank, crudely drawn right there, because we need you to be supported. You need to be supported from here to there, okay? The entire time. Now, what we found that is most important is not to do this stuff alone. So if you're out there, get a group. Get people like us that can coach you. Get someone that knows what they're doing. And what you need is a community. And that's not a Tony Robbins, rah, whatever thing. Like, I'm telling you, this is the most important thing that we have realized. That having a community that doesn't just say, oh, you're doing a good job, keep it up, whatever, but is there to keep you accountable. So you need an accountability community. That is what you need. And that is the fire, the fuel that feeds the fire. And so when we combine these three things, the rocket's able to be directed in the right direction, all right? And be able to propulse, because the accountability community is going to help you set that pace, set that direction, and get you moving up, okay? That is what we're doing here. Now, let me talk a bit more about this community, what you need. All right. And what we've found, what I've found. Now, we break it up into a couple different areas. All right. We break it up and understand that, it's great for the people to have, a coach. They need a coach to tell them, hey, this is your plan based on your needs. This is when you need it. Okay. So you need a coach, because if we think about this, when is the countdown for your rocket? Are you on a week, a 2-week, a 4-week, an 8-week, a 6-week, whatever it is, 2 months? Your time is your time. So don't let anybody else out there say, oh, you're going to get done in 2 months or 1 month or whatever. Why? What matters to you is what matters. So have the coach that will help you say, when do you need to be done? We can do it in that time. In order to do that, this is what we got to do. And make sure that those match. So the coach is going to be there the entire time. They know you better than you know you, and they're working you through. I'm just telling you what works for us, okay? Having a coach tied to that student is what helps that rocket, boom, get off and hit its mark. Now, the second thing that we need as we go through this is we need a community of fellow students. Fellow students. So if you think about this little metaphor that I'm trying to paint for you to try to break it down to make it simple, you got the coach here, and that's kind of like NASA with their little headphones on, and they're talking to you, and they're radioing information in and back, and they're working through it. That's the way it goes, and that's the coach. And then you got all this other community, the other astronauts who are all there. You can do it. You've done this. Let me help you build your skills. All these people that are there in your training process, and they're going through so that they can say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. So these are your fellow astronauts. And if you're not having conversations with your fellow PMP astronauts on a daily and weekly basis, then you're missing out. Because if you think about layers of support that I'm laying out here, getting the foundation nailed down, boom, I provide that for the students and we work through it. The problem-solving ability, the coaches and the team and me, they teach it in weekly calls every week so that we're building our skills, building our fire, making sure that we can take off in the right way. And then the community through the coach, the fellow students, the past students, everybody who's been through it are all there watching, supporting, talking as we go through to say, yo, you can do this. You're not alone. Here's what I learned. Here's what I see. All these things. This is not a go to a boot camp thing. You don't need that. Okay? And as we do that, we have the third thing being the community, which is the most important because it brings everything together, because this will not be a safe and right up an escalator ride. It's going to be rocky. The moon's out there, dude. It's hard to get to. But we can do it together, but alone, it ain't so great. So that, in a sense, is what we need. Three components: a foundation, problem-solving ability, and a community. If we have to put our names and our hearts and our careers and all that stuff behind it, which we're doing every day, this is what we are betting on. This is what's working for us. So if you're in a spot where you're like, dude, I'm lost or whatever, get this in any form, whether it's with me or somebody else. Get this strong foundation to know what's right and know what's wrong and know why. Get the problem-solving ability. Focus on that and squeeze it down. Get the community. And then what is super duper important, I'm telling you all my secrets because this is what matters. If you think about a bullet shooting, it doesn't just go phew. It spins. It spins. Same thing with rockets. Pretty sure they spin, right? Now they spin for a certain reason, right? I ain't Elon Musk, but they spin for a certain reason to stay on path and go there. Now our spinning is a very focused process that we do in every single one of these things. The foundation and the problem solving, the accountability, all these things. Our spinning, and I'm going to try to draw it, focuses on three things as we go up. Because the spinning leads you up and it keeps you stable. We focus on the first thing. I'm going to use the color green. We talk about framing. Every time we go through any topic, whether it's foundational stuff, problem-solving ability, working through our confidence on the exam, how to deal with anything, we know that paramount, we must frame it in a way that makes sense. The way we call it is like getting our arms around the universe so that we can see it. Okay? So the framing that we're trying to do is all around that. Can we understand? Can we see it in a way that relates, where you go, oh, it's kind of like this. I can explain it. Now, this is what you mean. Yes. So number one is framing. You have to frame it in a way you understand. That's learning. It's got to go from book to your brain, and there's got to be a bridge. It's got to be a relatable concept. So number one thing we always do is frame it in a way that the learner can understand. You know what that takes? Respect for the learner. to understand what might they take in, what might they take off, what kind of learner are they. And then while we're in there and framing it up, we've got to grab hold of that topic with the student and we go, hold on. Number 2 is to focus on focus. What matters? What matters in the area that we're talking about? The goal is not to get through the content for the sake of getting through the content. The goal is to get the content that matters into you so that you can use it. All right? So I'm just telling you how we do this because you can apply these same lessons. I'm just a guy that had a problem that I couldn't get through the PMP, and none of this other junk out there was helping me. So I invented it for myself, and then I helped more people and realized there are different brains than me. I've got to find a better way and refine. And it always talked about make it make sense when framing, dive down into what matters, and let's spend our time there. Like Agile. Agile focuses our time on the things that matter, and we don't do the things that don't. So focus on what matters, and tell them why. Now, the third thing, as we go through, I love this one. It's feedback. Feedback. This is what just like feedback and community is like the same, like they are like gripping together. They're pulling together. This is what pulls it all together. The accountability and the feedback, this is where the feedback takes root. Because as you're framing it, as you're learning it, as you're focusing through all these things, you've got to have the feedback loops to say, why don't you explain it to me? See how you understand it. Because anybody out there can facilitate a room, good or bad. They can be in there and they can be talking about what's happening. But what we want to do is make sure that it's inside you. So if you think about classes, what you want is you want live time to be used to make sure that you understand it, not that the teacher understands it, right? So that's where our feedback loops. So every single lesson that we teach, every single class that we conduct, every single coaching call we frame things up in a way they can understand. We focus you on what's important, and we give the opportunity for the feedback loop to occur. Tell me what you learned. Explain it in a different way that makes sense to you. Why would you always do this? Why do you think it's right? All the question answering is not to see the professor solve a question. Sure, to learn the process, but where the real learning occurs is when you do it. And the person says, why? Why did you make that decision? Would you always? Whatever. So the feedback loop. So when we do that and when we prepare, think about this rocket just pulsating, ready to go. That's going to help us get organized and focused on where we need to hit our PMP. So when people ask me like, hey, Scott, how did you do it? How are you doing it? How are you getting hundreds and hundreds of people through? It's pretty simple, dudes. It's right here. I mean, it's kind of, it's a picture, whatever. It's a metaphor, but it's a model. And anybody out there, like, copy it. Fire it away, dude. I don't care. Get better at your job. All right? Because this is working really, really well. Better than anybody else's because it respects the student's mind. And it brings them into the learning process. And the thing that I'm so happy about is that the students that are there and move through it go through comfortably on their time. And by the end, they say, man, this is alive now. These concepts are alive for me. I can understand them. I can use them. I can put them into practice. And that's what matters most. We have to make this real. There is no Mr. or Mrs. PMI out there that's sitting in a room by themselves trying to trick you. That ain't the way it works. PMI loves you in a way. They want to support you and build your career. Now, the problem is there's a bridge that needs to be put in there to help you get to the knowledge. This helps you get there, dudes. This helps you do that. So as you're going through, I just want to leave you with something positive. This is all positive. I'm going to leave you with action items. Okay? Challenge yourself. Think about what's missing in your current pace, your pace. and what the people are supporting you? Are they providing a really strong foundation that doesn't overwhelm you with facts and then says, go learn or go understand or go read? If it ain't easy, if you don't understand, if you don't feel like you're standing on like rock solid ground, then you ain't got it yet. And it's not you, it's them. So get off that ship and get onto someplace or use your own mind to understand it. Get that foundation built. And then you should be using problem solving as a learning tool. Do not hide from what you miss. Learning from what you miss, what you get right, and seeing the patterns in it and how you work through the logic is gold. So use that. And then stop doing this alone. And I would say the communities online are awesome, whatever, these groups and stuff, but you don't know the quality. You don't know if they care for you. And do whatever you want to, but like they're sporadic and stuff. Get a stable community that's going to be there, that knows what it is, and that thinks the best for you, and that believes in you, and that will hold you accountable, not just tell you you're doing a great job. So those are the three components. And then as you learn, really take the time to frame it up in a way you can understand, in a way that makes sense to you. Distill off all the stuff that's superfluous, that's unnecessary. Go down to the focus of what matters. Treat it like you're in an elevator with somebody important. You had to sum up the point really crisply. Are you going to go through miles and miles of pages? No. You're going to say, what really matters is this. That's what we got to get down to for every core point. Can you distill it down in your words precisely and eloquently? And believe me, you listen to me, it ain't always eloquent. So get off the thing where you can't be perfect. You have to be perfect. You don't have to be. You just say it eloquent in your way. This is the way I see it. Okay? And lastly, don't be afraid of feedback. Cherish it. Try to get it. Just bring it in. That's what you need. You need to have little feedback loops continuously forever. That's what's going to help you get through. That's it. That's the way we do it. That's the way I do it. I hope somebody's got a comment out there. Facebook user says, thumbs up. Sweet. That's good enough for me. I like it. Someone else says, framing mind map for whatever you understand each journey concepts. Yeah. Thank you, Facebook user. And so you got to find what works for you. I'm painting this picture to conceptualize the method that works in our teaching. All right. And so as we go through here, like this is just the one lesson for today. Keep subscribing, hit subscribe, come in there. And if you like want to talk directly to me and say like, hey man, I like or I didn't like what you say. If you've got, ideas or you have problems or you're on your path and you're just not there yet and you want another ear to listen and someone to hear you, understand, and work with you to try to find the best method for you, then just come and talk. Scott at PMmasterPrep.com, 757-759-5282. That's my phone number. Use it. 757-759-5282. Scott at PMmasterPrep, or go to our PMmasterPrep.com. There's a button on the top right. I think it says like contact Scott or get Scott's help or whatever. And then click that, put your information in, then we just have a conversation. There is a better way to PMP. It's working. Stop struggling. Start learning. We can do this. All right. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging on. Let me see you in the next lesson, and I'll talk to you soon. So you can do this. I'll be there to support you. Adios.